Welcome to Inside Tulsa Athletics. On our show today, we'll have Chris Hudgins, the Executive Director of the Bond Office. We'll also have Jen Sanders, Assistant Director of Athletics. We'll have Russ Ronin, the head golf coach at Memorial. Kirk Baker, the head golf coach at Webster. We'll also have the head tennis coach at Booker T. Washington, Kevin Williams, and the head tennis coach at Edison, Keith Hines. We'll also have the slow pitch softball coach from Booker T., Jordan Graham. Stay tuned for Chris Hudgins. Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Our first guest today, Chris Hudgins, is Executive Director of Bond and Energy Management. How's it going?
It's going really good.
You have a busy office, Chris, and I would like for you, if you could, to kind of go through the things that your office is involved with on a daily basis.
Okay, so since the citizens of Tulsa passed the $414 million bond issue in June of last year, we don't get all that money up front. So every 6 months we have an allocation that keeps our millage rate level. So our job is to start these projects and prioritize and allocate them. So an example of one of the early projects that we've done is the Booker T tennis facility. So we have 4 courts that are being built, and we hire an engineer and architect. All the plans are submitted to the city for building permits and approval. Then a construction project has to go out to competitively bid, and this is all state required. So sealed bids are received in our office, and then the board actually awards the contract. So we're actually moving dirt at Booker T currently for the tennis courts, and they're on schedule to be complete in August. So that's one of the early on projects that we're working on, and we're finishing up the East Central Field House. It's one of the exciting projects from the 2015, and it's on schedule to be complete in September. So we're looking forward to getting that project done.
When you get into those projects, how do you determine what you're going to build? There's a committee, correct?
Yes, there's a committee, and we sold the citizens of Tulsa exactly what we were going to do. So we have a bond oversight committee that we report to, and so any deviations from that would be presented to the bond oversight, and then we would ask for recommendations for approval on that. So we work closely with the bond oversight. We report. We meet every other month with them, and we report on projects and how things are going. So that's our oversight mechanism for the bond.
It's really an intricate process. People don't realize you do an assess of needs within the district. Then you go to the oversight committee and you share those with them, and then ultimately the Board of Education has to approve those projects after the voters have approved the bond election. So just to get to that part, and then you have to have an architect.
So those projects are lengthy. So all of that bond issue project, the planning and budgeting of a June election was done 6 months prior. So we're already a year into that. So those estimates and designs. So yeah, it's a lengthy process. And then after we hire an architect and engineer, that's usually a 6 to 8 month project. And then once the construction starts, most of the time, those are 6 months to even a year and 14 months. And now that we've COVID related, it's added a couple of months to our projects.
You know, it's interesting. I started out as a director at Union in 1976, and of course, Union has grown and had projects we had 17 bond issues in 15 years. And one thing we'd always tell the principals, it doesn't make really any difference where we are in the project. Come the first day of school, the yellow buses are running and the kids are showing up. You just got to be flexible to be able to make those things happen for them. So what are let's talk about district-wide to start with in the last 2 minutes here before we go to a break, of all the projects, if you can summarize going on in the district.
So I mentioned two of the athletic projects that we have, but we've got a busy summer. Of course, every summer is busy. So we've got 3 HVAC improvements that we're going to be doing this summer. The biggest one is at Edison High School. It's a $10 million project. We're putting rooftop units on the entire school. The second one is at Unity. We're doing new HVAC at Unity. And our third one is at Grissom Elementary. So those 3 projects right there are the HVAC improvements, and they're going to improve the indoor air quality in the classrooms, outside air. So a big improvement to those schools. The renovations that we have going on this summer are at Skelly Upper and Skelly Primary. Those are both interior renovations, lots of improvements to those schools, as well as Hawthorne Elementary and Eugene Field will be getting improvements.
Some of those, and what people don't realize is the age of our buildings in Tulsa. Some of those buildings have been around a long time.
So yes, when we talk about, most of our schools are 80 years old. And so when we talk about the infrastructure improvements, replacing plumbing lines and bringing these kitchens up to code with grease traps, there's a lot of money to be spent and keeping these improvements made.
It's a different world than building a new building. That's almost a bonus to be able to build a new building because you know what you got there. When you get in, you don't have any idea what you have. Well, we'll be back. We'll talk a little bit more about athletic facilities and things and planning when we come back after these messages.
Hey Tulsa, welcome back to the top recycling play of the day. Team Johnson is facing off against one tough competitor, glass.
That's right, only glass bottles and jars are recyclable. Don't even think about sinking a drink in glass or mirror. Always good to empty your glass bottles and jars before recycling.
These two get it, emptying both bottles from far out, and they remove the lids. Score big by recycling your glass bottles and jars. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Nathan Hales means that you have to be consistent, outgoing, and be dedicated because students at Nathan Hale look up to the football team.
Being an athlete at Nathan Hale has taught me to be confident and disciplined and always to be open-minded and always ready to work with people no matter how difficult it is.
Now we continue with Chris Hudgins, Executive Director of our bond team. And Chris, we talked about generally how we get the money, how we spend the money, who has the oversight of the money and everything. But let's talk about some projects now that are ongoing, and what does the future look like in future planning for bond issues?
Okay, so I mentioned we're going to finish up with our East Central Field House. That's going to finish up in September, and we're really excited about that. And I wanted to mention the partnership with the YMCA that's come on aboard, and we've been working closely with them, so we're excited to get that open. And then the tennis courts at Booker T will also finish in September. But right now we're in the midst of planning the improvements at Rogers. We've got an auxiliary gym that's going out to bid in May, as well as visitor stadium, restroom, and concession stand as well for Rogers. So we're excited to get those projects going. So construction should begin in August, September, and then 8 to 10 months later, we'll have those projects complete.
That would be fantastic. What, because of a personal issue, when are we going to finish the Rogers Stadium?
So that Rogers Stadium, we'd like to have it complete for the soccer season in January.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
And 2 projects that I didn't mention that I should have is this summer we're replacing the turf at Rogers and at Hell High School as well. So we're going to have brand new turf on those facilities.
I think that's one of the things that people don't realize, that the turf is a tremendous investment because of your day-to-day upkeep and everything. You don't have to water and fertilize and mow and edge and weed eat and everything else. But after about 10 years, they do come to fruition. You got to replace them.
Right.
And I think that's where we are with most of our turf fields that we put in on that type of, I think maintenance is critical. We've had a outside contract for them to do those twice a year, to clean them and refresh them, I think, which makes them safer for our student athletes. So what does the future look like from the bond office perspective? I mean, you got things that are ongoing right now, but as you look into the future, what are other improvements you think we might have to make?
Well, I know it's just an ongoing challenge for us to keep all our facilities we want to have top-notch facilities everywhere. So staying on those, and once we by building all these new facilities, now we got to maintain them and make sure that everything is we're able to maintain and keep those in great condition. Mm-hmm. So I think as things change and we improve, we just need to stay with the times and keep improving it all the times. Just like your house, you can't not improve your house or it's going to fall in disrepair.
When I was at Northeastern as the director, the vice president of finance was a good friend of mine, former player, and he told me at one point that we were $88 million down in what's that term? Improvements.
Yeah.
Just to stay up. If we came up today where it really needed to be, it'd be $88 million. And I think sometimes we forget that you got to put oil in that engine. You can't go for the same oil forever. I think we don't take care of the facilities enough like that. As we look at the economy, one of the things that concerned is inflation. What effect does that have on the construction and our building program?
Well, it has a tremendous impact on our projects. We've seen about a 10% inflation since we passed our bond issue in June of last year, and we're projecting another 10%. So we were fortunate. We had a $12 million contingency. We're looking at that, and there's projects that are going to have 30% inflation cost from the time when we voted on them to the time that we get them under contract. Mm-hmm. So never before have we seen that in the last 20 years. So we do have some mechanisms to safeguard that, but there at some point in time, the scope has to change if we don't have enough contingency to cover the inflation costs. So
it's good to have that because it is difficult to ascertain what that inflation is going to do. Would we ever thought a year ago that would be approaching 10% inflation? In 1 year, and it makes it difficult. The term I couldn't think of a few minutes ago was deferred maintenance.
Yes.
Deferred maintenance is a critical thing. So as we get into the school year ending this year, that's when you really get busy with the renovation.
Correct. We have about $30 million worth of work that we're going to get done over the summer. So we've got lots of overtime, lots of double shifts. So we've got the material ordered, we're under contract, and we're ready to get going on.
That is, and you have to schedule around summer schools and all those kinds of things. But to get those done by the start of school is always a critical issue.
It is, because like you said, the doors are going to be open, and we're going to have school. So we got to make sure that we're ready for them.
Well, you got a big job, Chris, and we really appreciate everything. While I was there, that you've done for us. You and Bob, were good friends for athletics for a long time, and put us in a position where I think people look at Tulsa Public Schools and Tulsa Public School athletics differently than they did before, because we do have quality facilities for our kids to participate in, and our patrons to enjoy the contest in. So thank you for all that you've done.
Well, you're welcome.
And we will be right back with Jen Sanders, Assistant Athletic Director for the Tulsa Public Schools.
Hey, Tulsa, welcome back to the top recycling play of the day. Team Johnson is looking to defend their title against aluminum and steel cans.
Bob, most people think of the kitchen for this opponent, but aluminum and steel cans, like empty shaving cream cans, also play extremely well in bathrooms all over Tulsa. That was nothing but bin, Bob.
Wow, right into the bin. Team Johnson has buttoned up another win. Score big by recycling your aluminum and steel cans. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Booker T. Washington has taught me to carry myself with class as an athlete, student, and friend, and to have responsibility on and off the field.
Being an athlete at Memorial High School has taught me to be a better person, because when you play sports, attitude is the main thing you have to deal with. Not just your own, but other people's. It also teaches you to be the bigger person.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Now we have the Assistant Director of Athletics for the Tulsa Public Schools, Jen Sanders. Jen, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Whoa, we've had you on quite a bit.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we've got many, many things going on in athletics, amateur athletics, quote, amateur athletics these days. Let's talk a little bit about how that affects our student athletes and how it affects what you do in compliance. The first question I think that we have to ask, we don't have, or do we have a transfer portal in high school athletics?
We do not have a transfer portal.
Right.
It seems like we do, because we have kids that are moving all across the state. I think you just heard recently the Wasso quarterback moved to Bixby.
Right.
And while if you move into that district, you are eligible to participate, but if you do not move, you're going to sit out. And I think a lot of our families don't recognize that, or they don't realize that, because, here in Tulsa, you can get anywhere in 20 minutes, so.
Right.
Families think that they can leave Tulsa and go to Broken Arrow and be immediately eligible, and I think the transfer rule that the state put out based on students can transfer to any school, that they think that their athletic eligibility goes along with that, and currently that is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
The OSSA still has rules in place where the student transfers and they've established eligibility their freshman year at, let's just say, Broken Arrow, and they leave and go to TPS school. But they do not move into our district, then they're not eligible, and they have to set for 365. So it's unfortunate that sometimes families don't understand that.
One of the things I think that exacerbated that rule a little bit, was when we did away with the residency rule in middle school, junior high athletics.
Correct.
That you could literally, one year I think we had a kid that played at 3 different schools in 3 different seasons.
That's right.
Because of that. And so they get used to that mentality that I can move and be eligible. And then, of course, when the state put in the rule that you did not establish residence eligibility, so as a freshman, you could pick where you wanted to go as a freshman. And what we would always tell them is that, well, that's going to be a 2-year deal, because you're going to be there. And if you go back, you have to sit out unless you move.
Right. And that has definitely, we've had those cases at our school where they, sometimes everyone always thinks the grass is greener somewhere else, and then they want to come back to their home school, and then they have to sit out. So it's unfortunate, and I think it's a trickle down from all the movement we have going on now is a trickle down from the transfer portal, and which started with the NBA, and everyone going somewhere else because the grass is greener. I'm going to get more wins there or whatever.
And we don't have free agents in college, but I think we almost do now.
Yeah.
Because that takes us to the next thing, that is really the NIL. I think of all the things that have occurred during my lifetime in athletics, I think this is the most horrendous thing that has happened to student athletes and to quote amateur athletic programs.
Yeah, it really concerns me about students graduating. You've got a young man or woman who's making $30,000, or $50,000. They're freshman or sophomore year, and then, there's an injury that happens, and they no longer complete their college diploma. And so it really concerns me. It also gives me a little bit of anxiety thinking about, what if they don't make that much once they graduate? And are they, putting the money where it needs to be, or are they going out and buying a brand new Ford F-150,
Yeah.
So it's like you wonder about giving these students that much money, and what type of financial literacy we're implementing for those students that are receiving that money.
And from a coaching standpoint, my goodness, what if your star quarterback says, Coach, I got to be late to practice, then I got to do a commercial
Right.
for the car dealer down here.
Yeah.
I mean, those things, I don't think that we even thought through the NIL to that point. the camaraderie on the team, the chemistry of the team. You know, the quarterback's making $1 million, and I'm an offensive lineman. I'm getting $25 a game.
Right.
How does that work?
And I've got to protect the guy that's
right.
$1 million. I think if I was the quarterback, I'd make sure all my linemen had plenty of money.
They ought to, or they'll have the whole A block. Yeah. You just go on by and say whole A. But so I think as we look at high school athletics, I think this is something that could be on the horizon to how we educate our student athletes as to what they can and cannot do as a high school student athlete.
Yeah, educating the students as to, you know, what they can and cannot do and receive money for. I know, you know, there's a question right there on the OSSA form that says, have you received money to play? And, you know, as you know, many times we've had tennis players that came from different states, or even we've had some from different countries that are going into college, and they had received money. Maybe they didn't disclose it at the time, but you know, for tennis, it was kind of a very popular thing to do, and it happened often. So we haven't had that, but I think you're right. It opens it up to wonder.
It's going to be there. We've had that in golf as well.
Right.
You know, they play these golf tournaments on the weekend and through the summer, and they have cash rewards plus gifts and things. And it's a treacherous track for those kids to be on right now. I think as our juniors and seniors are getting ready to get into that, that are student athletes at that level, it's going to be tough. Well,
and I also think, you know, teaching our kids, like, what is a good deal? Like, what does a good contract look like? Teaching kids to read those contracts, especially our kids that are going to be in college and, you know, have folks that maybe not have their best interest at heart.
Right.
And, you know, teaching our kids to, like, be a little skeptical of certain things. So I think that's another thing we have to really, and as sad as it is, implement that into our kids' lives and for them to understand, hey, not everyone's looking out what's best for you.
I'm not sure that we'll have amateur athletics anywhere other than middle school and elementary school before we're done. Well, thanks for being here today. You bring us up to date on some of these issues that I know are going to be facing our kids as we get into it. And when we come back, we'll have Russ Ronin, the head golf coach at Memorial.
Hey, Tulsa, we have a crushing recycle play of the day for you. Team Johnson versus paper and cardboard.
They're starting off slow today, probably trying to figure out what to do with those styrofoam plates, since they're not recyclable.
There's the big play we were waiting for. Boom! Completely empty cardboard boxes dunked in the cart. Score big by recycling your cardboard and paper. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Edison High School has taught me to work as a team rather than as an individual. Whenever you're on a team, you have a special bond with each other. You know you can rely on them in a time of need, whether on or off the court. Whether it be a shoulder to cry on or advice on how you can improve, you know your team will always be there for you.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Now we'll have Russ Ronin, the head golf coach for the Memorial Chargers. Russ, welcome to the show.
Good to see you, Gil.
Well, I tell you what, this week it looks like we might have a little golf weather, but
a little bit.
It's week to week anymore, or day to day actually.
It is. We just lost practice yesterday because of the rain and stuff. Luckily, our principals provided us a space for indoor facilities, so we always get to at least hit a little bit. But it's not the same as getting out on the course.
No, it's not the same. So how has that, I mean, it has really been an interesting spring so far.
Oh, yeah. My girls just played in no water last week, and it was 33 degrees with flurries. And, I mean, they power to those girls. They powered right through, you know, ended up in a 6th place finish there. Mm-hmm. But and then 2 days before, played with the boys in Henrietta, and it was 80 degrees.
80 degrees,
Oklahoma weather at its best, you know.
Yeah, it's incredible. But 6 out of 16, not bad.
Yeah, no, they did real well considering none of them have ever played golf before.
Is that right?
You know, they're all 2 months in.
How's the course in no water?
It was pretty rough that day because
bet.
it had just rained a few days before, and we actually were worried that they were going to cancel the tournament because the greens were pretty muddy. You know, couldn't even play bunkers and things like that because it's pretty rough. But it's a little 9-hole. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's very tight.
bet.
Cars are in play, around 1, 2, and 3. So,
I see.
But no, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we took the boys there earlier in the season, and then we took the girls there last week. So we'll be going back next year too.
Now, where do you practice at?
Mohawk with First Tee a lot. Janice has hooked us up. Austin out there at First Tee actually came out and brought First Tee to Memorial for 2 months at the beginning of the season, and really, really helped us out. We love that program, and we appreciate that the district actually provided that relationship, because it's just grown and grown for us.
First Tee is, as we talked earlier, Janice Gibson is a TPS Hall of Famer.
Yeah, we love her. She's one of our favorites.
She went to Hale and played on the boys team back in the day when they didn't have girls athletics. I served on that board for the 10 years that I was here. So it's a great program for our kids. I'm glad that Memorial is involved with that.
Yeah, Blake Duncan, who's my assistant golf coach, he actually came through the First Tee program and then was at Hale. So he's got a good relationship with Janice from back in the day. His brother did First Tee. And I'm a site administrator for Ready Set Summer. And this year Memorial is hosting the high school, the junior high, Edison Junior High in Thoreau, because Edison and Thoreau are going to be under construction. And I really wanted, as part of the summer enrichment, to include some of our smaller sports, the stuff that doesn't have junior high programs, so that we can start teaching these kids and building the programs earlier. And so I actually partnered with First Tee, and they're coming out this summer to hold a golf Monday through Friday.
Excellent.
And like I said, we're affecting 5 schools with that, not just Memorial. So we're kind of branching out and helping these other schools
really,
as well.
Really good. Yeah.
I mean, those smaller sports have a special place in my heart. So I'm always trying to help build them up.
Well, I always said, as a director of athletics, guys would talk about equity in athletics, and I said, it's just as important for those golf and tennis players as it is for the football and basketball players to play.
And for golf, we're competing against private school kids and kids that have been playing since they were 3 and stuff like that. And my relationship with golf came in the business world. I was a VP for CVS, and all my promotions came on the golf course. So when I sell it to kids who have never played golf, never thought about golf, never did anything, I approach these kids with good grades and things like that and tell them, this is a networking class. I'm going to teach you the rules and etiquette of golf so you can go out and not embarrass yourself. It's okay to be bad because your boss likes to win. But, if you can learn the rules and etiquette and then get out on the course as you go through your career, it can really, really help you create those bonds and things you need to be able to get things done.
Well, it's a lifetime sport.
Yeah, absolutely. You can play it to your 80. I played football in high school and college. I can't play it anymore.
No.
I'm only 40.
Exactly. Right. Or you don't want to play it.
No, I coach it, and that's bad enough.
Let's talk about some of your players.
I've got a couple of kids. I've got one that's probably going to play college golf. Kendall Varnell. He's played with me for 4 years. He's got some experience. Shoots in the 80s. Looking at some NAIAs. He's got a pending scholarship to Wichita State. And then the rest of my guys they're really brand new. Like I said, we're grabbing kids out of the hall and convincing them to play. But Coach Duncan and I put a real focus this year on recruiting young players, freshmen, sophomores. So that's what I have. I have about 13 players, and most of them are freshmen and sophomores so that we can build for the future. It's the first time Memorial Golf has had a full girls team, a full boys team, and alternates in 4 or 5 years. Not since Coach Worrell was doing it years ago. So I mean, we're really in the rebuilding phase of it, and really taking a big stance on trying to get these kids younger and better so that we can get them some college scholarships, especially the girls. I mean, there's girls golf scholarships that go unclaimed every year because there's not enough girls to play. So the fact that we have 7 and we're taking full teams every week, that's going to be huge for us in the coming years.
Keep them playing. It's a great thing with the First Tee program with the younger
we love
kids. I think that'll be fantastic. Well, good luck this year.
And thank you, Gil. Appreciate you having me.
I hope you do well. And when we come back, we'll have Kirk Baker, who's the head golf coach at Webster High School.
Hey Tulsa, welcome back to the top recycling play of the day. Team Johnson is facing off against a tough competitor, plastic.
Don't trust those numbers on the bottom. You have to stick to what you know. Only bottles and jugs found in the kitchen, bath, or laundry. They're quick to pick up. And empty those bottles before sinking that shot.
Always empty your bottles before recycling. Score big by recycling your plastic bottles and jugs. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
I love Will Rogers Athletics because it helped me physically, spiritually, and emotionally through all the journeys I've been through at that school. All of the support staff helped me a lot, and it's just an amazing school.
Athletics at Will Rogers changed my life because it became a second family. With the support of my coaches and teammates, it's helped me gain confidence, work as a team, and will help me in college and in life.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. We have Kirk Baker, who is the head boys and girls golf coach at Webster High School. Kirk, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Talk about golf at Webster. It had gone away for a while, and it was brought back, and now you're the head coach.
It was gone, and then thanks to you, and Mick, and Jen, and whoever else helped out, and Coach Biggins, of course, here.
Sure.
We got it back. And really what happened, that really got it back, is I put something on Facebook, just like some of my friends, hey, we might need some old balls or something. Well, is her name Donna Savage from the Tulsa Webster Alumni Association put it on our alumni page.
Oh.
I will promise you, I was driving to Broken Arrow in the morning. I'd go to Sand Springs, and I picked up so many golf clubs and golf balls and golf shoes. It was amazing. So thanks to our alumni, I guess, also for doing a bunch. Yeah.
Good. So how many kids do you have in the program?
When I started sign-ups, I had 32. I can't run a 32 person team. So I got it down to 12. And that's what we're running at now. 6 boys, 6 girls.
Okay, yeah. So you play at?
We are fortunate. Actually, Mick and Jen, and then Golf Galaxy got me hooked up with Janice Gibson at First Tee.
Oh, yes.
That's the greatest thing ever happened to us.
Yeah.
So we go to Mohawk every day. She lets us come out there. We go to Mohawk, and on Wednesdays, her and some of the other golf pros work. I mean, some of our kids are getting one-on-one lessons from Janice Gibson, and she is like a miracle worker.
Well, Janice, you know, is a Hall of Famer, TPS Hall of Famer. Played on the boys team at Hale when she went to Hale High School, and I was fortunate enough to be, when I was the executive director, to serve on the First Tee board of directors, and got to know Janice really well. She is a TPS positive person.
It's I mean, I call her a miracle worker. Our kids, I mean, all of them are brand new, so they didn't know how to grip it. So I kind of showed them that, but then we went out there and they're all swinging it like they're swinging the golf club like you're supposed to swing it.
Well, she played on the tour for a while, you know, so she's a tour professional and really a good person to have our kids in touch with, because the First Tee program has ACT prep involved with the rules and the techniques of teaching students golf. So we got a pro. All right, so how's your season going?
We have played, the girls have played a full team. The boys haven't had a full team due to some things, but the girls have played at Sapulpa in the Alva tournament and then at the Nowata, and we placed 9th in both those. Excited about that. And then our boys have been to, we play duels against Memorial, which Coach Ronin, that's been great, and Coach Duncan, we hang out with them all the time. And they've helped me because their boys seem more comfortable out playing golf, and it's helped my boys a lot. But we've had Andrew Guglielmo, whose sister played basketball here a few years ago. She goes to ORU now. He is our top golfer right now, and he's finally gotten down right about in the 90s, which is a huge success. His first round was like 134, and he's dropped off that many strokes, so that's pretty exciting.
The golf is a game of repetition. You've got to be out there and you got to get that swing grooved and then have a little confidence about it. But it is a great game because it's a lifetime sport.
Exactly.
You know, I still play golf, and you play forever, and it is fantastic. So, what the future of the program? What do you think?
My plans right now, and I mentioned this to Coach Biggins the other day about getting this going, is to start First Tee in the 1st through 5th grade at Clinton.
Oh yeah.
Start that next year. And then I have a guy helping me. He's assistant coach, but he does a lot. His name's Coy Moses. He's a junior high teacher here, and he's helped getting junior high kids involved. So we're trying to get 1st through 8th in First Tee next year.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that would, for the future, be the best thing we could do.
I'm sure that Janice would really appreciate that.
She was all right with it when I mentioned it.
Yeah, I bet because they're looking for numbers. I know that was one of the things that is really, really important to keep that program from a national perspective. The national, the First Tee organization, really looks at the growth of the program and so on. And golf is an interesting game because it seems like golf kind of ebbs and flows. This week it's big because it's Masters week.
Exactly. And you got Tiger Woods maybe going to play.
Well, I saw a picture yesterday on the internet that at the first tee for his practice round Monday, it was like the last day of the tournament. It was packed all the way around. So, and it's good to have those kind of people out there, the stars that our kids can look to. But so as you get ready now, your regional, you know where your regional?
Yeah, it's going to be at Pryor Creek.
Well, Pryor, okay.
Yep.
Oh, so I know the pro at Pryor Creek.
And it's a fun course. I went and played there a couple of weeks ago. It was fun.
Yeah, Miss Bowman was the course director at Tahlequah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
At Northeastern.
Yeah.
So he'll have the course in good shape, I'm sure.
It's a nice course.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll have a good tournament and your kids will be able to improve. And I hope you get that First Tee program going.
It's going to happen.
I think that's really, really going to be good. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we'll have Kevin Williams, who's the head tennis coach of Booker T. Washington.
Hey, Tulsa, welcome back to the top recycling play of the day. Team Johnson is facing off against one tough competitor, glass.
That's right. Only glass bottles and jars are recyclable. Don't even think about sinking a drink in glass or mirror. Always good to empty your glass bottles and jars before recycling.
These two get it, emptying both bottles from far out, and they remove the lids. Score big by recycling your glass bottles and jars. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
Athletics is so important at Tulsa Central because it's an outlet for some of our kids there. They get a better opportunity to basically give back to our community.
At McLean, the sports is what mainly drives a bunch of the students to come to school every single day and work hard because they want to be able to come from the classroom to the field or the court and show what they're good at.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Now we have the head tennis coach, athletic director at Carver, Kevin Williams. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be
I
here.
imagine you stay busy being the athletic director and the head tennis coach.
Yes, I'm busy, but it's been great. It's been great. We've had fun with it. Really taking on the challenge of making sure that the only things are working well at Carver in terms of being athletic director and even coaching there with 8th grade boys basketball, but certainly keeping a handle on getting our tennis program together and continuing the success that we've had, especially building off a successful last year. We've had a little bit of a slow start this year due to weather and things of that nature, but we're starting to pick things up and going in the right direction. So,
well, let's talk about how you got to where you are today.
Well, it's pretty interesting. I started out certainly years ago. I mean, I give certainly a lot of credence to Mick Wilson. I had an opportunity to be on his staff when he was at Rogers for that year, and so I feel like I did a pretty good job to be where I am now. And so, tennis-wise, when I came to Booker T under Joe Redmond, basketball, Lane Wilson was on his way out as tennis, and so they needed someone to step in. And I wasn't sure that they wanted me. I wasn't a tennis guy, but I'm a coach, so and that's one thing. I'm very transparent with our kids, and so. I've put my all into the program, and I think that's one of the things that has really helped us in just being open and honest with our kids. And we've been pretty successful with respect to tennis. This is my 7th year, I believe, as a tennis coach, and we have grown both in numbers and in skill. So it's been great. Really
well,
exciting.
I know that I've always said that a coach is a coach.
Yeah.
I learned that the second year I was in coaching. I went to Colville High School. I wanted to be the defensive coordinator, but they also wanted me to be the head wrestling coach. Well, I grew up in Kentucky, but they didn't have wrestling. They had basketball in Kentucky. And I'll never forget the superintendent interviewing me, and he said, "Now on this wrestling night, you're from Oklahoma. You know about that wrestling?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm from Oklahoma."
and that
was it.
That was it.
Second in the conference the first year, won the conference the next year. First year they ever had a program.
Wow.
They had never had, but had good kids, and they did what we asked them to do. As I've always believed from that point on, that a coach can coach.
Yeah.
You just need to go find the things that you need to teach.
Well, it's been great. One of the things that sticks in my mind over the years, we had a young lady last year, incredible athlete, Victoria Nunez, and she, even today, she talks about matches where she was down, and she calls it the Kev talks. We had a Kev talk, and so I just, I try to go out and encourage them and just get their mind on a thing. And there's some things that I've learned over the years from other coaches and just learning the game that I've been able to really be serviceable in helping. But like you said, a coach is a coach, and so I feel that that's one of my strengths to just really help in that area.
Exciting times at Booker T. New courts.
Yes. Oh, it's so exciting that we're getting courts, and thank you to you and the district and those that passed the bond. It's going to change the entire landscape of our program. I mean, we've, on the heels of a guy that we got third in state in 2 singles last year, and so to build on that and to have courts that we can, in essence, have year-round and not have to be concerned with where are we going,
right,
the timing and all those things.
Court time, and you have to reserve this time and that time.
That can be a headache in itself, but getting some courts, getting locker rooms with courts, and even some parking with it, and it's gonna really be to our advantage. And not only for Booker T, but Carver has a tennis program this year for the first time, and so those students that will be matriculating into Booker T, and even those that are still there, they'll be able to use those courts as practice time. So I'm really excited, really looking forward to the courts. They've broken ground, and so anytime you see dirt, something's coming up. So we're excited.
It's always positive to be in that realm.
Yes.
It always, and I think the junior high program is quintessential for success down the road. I mean,
agree.
You got to have those kids started young and understanding rules and regulations and things that they have to do as a student athlete, academically and athletically.
Absolutely.
To get through that.
Absolutely.
Well, Kevin, I'm glad you're here.
My
good
pleasure.
luck on this year.
Thank you so much.
I want to come out and see your new courts when they're done.
Sounds good. Look forward to having you.
When we come back, we'll have Keith Hines, who's the head tennis coach at Edison Prep.
Hey Tulsa, welcome back to the top recycling play of the day. Team Johnson is looking to defend their title against aluminum and steel cans.
Bob, most people think of the kitchen for this opponent, but aluminum and steel cans, like empty shaving cream cans, also play extremely well in bathrooms all over Tulsa. That was nothing but bin, Bob.
Wow, right into the bin. Team Johnson has buttoned up another win. Score big by recycling your aluminum and steel cans. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Edison High School has taught me to work as a team rather than as an individual. Whenever you're on a team, you have a special bond with each other. You know you can rely on them in a time of need, whether on or off the court. Whether it be a shoulder to cry on or advice on how you can improve, you know your team will always be there for you.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Now our guest is Keith Hines, the head tennis coach of Edison Prep. Keith, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into playing tennis and coaching tennis?
Well, I liked football, baseball, and basketball, but I was not a very big kid growing up. And my mom said, "You are fast, you need to go to tennis." And because I just couldn't make any teams, I couldn't make weight for football, youth football. So she took me down to the Bakersfield Racket Club. We were in Bakersfield, California, and dropped me off and said, "You're going to play tennis." And I started then and really never stopped. It fit me perfect. And in fact, this last year, January 6th, she died. and I went out to Bakersfield, and I drove my truck because I'm scared of flying, and I went down the Bakersfield Rack Club where I grew up playing tennis, and that was really a cool deal. And I found in the back of her garage the ball machine that I used in the early 70s to train, because we had a tennis court. My dad was a doctor, and once I started playing tennis, he put a court in the backyard, and I hit on that ball machine, and I found it in the garage, and it's a beast. It's 1970s ball machine. It doesn't have the fancy gadgets, but I put it in the back of my truck and hauled it back here. So now I'm using it at my practice.
Oh, is that good? Well, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you've been tennis ever since?
Ever since about, I'd say 6th grade.
Yeah.
6th grade was when forget about fooling around.
Really kicked in.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Edison program. I know you've done a really good job in bringing that program up, and
thank you.
Numbers and everything. Talk about this year's team and how you look at the future of tennis.
Yeah, we're it all starts from middle school. You've got to get a middle school program going, which you guys have let us do that first hour. That's really helped, and it's starting to filter into the high school. I think we've been doing about 3 years. In fact, I've got my partner out there, Shannon Coffey. She's the head girls tennis coach for the high school. I'm head boys, but she's out there running the middle school match right now. We're playing Tahlequah, and we've got about 45 kids in the middle school program, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And then that's all filtering into our high school, which I'd say in the next 2 years, we're going to be we're already competitive, but I think it's going to put us at that next level where we're at.
Well, that's fantastic. How's this year going with your varsity?
It's going fine. We haven't hit our stride yet. March, it's just the spring break gets in the middle, and the weather, I've never had so many cold, windy days. Almost makes me want to get a haircut. It's just a mess. So we haven't hit our stride. I think we're a warm weather team.
Yeah. Well, it's good. We're getting to April, and hopefully, even though there's a cold front coming in tonight.
Well, we got like our three major tournaments we play each year is Tahlequah, Guthrie, Claremore. Those 3 tournaments get us ready for the the regionals, and those things all start this week. We're in the Tahlequah tournament tomorrow. The next week is Guthrie, Claremore, and then it's regionals.
Yeah. Okay. And where would the regionals be? Do you know?
Don't know. Not sure. We were at Claremore last year. They might ship us off somewhere this year. I'm just not sure where we're going to be.
There's an imbalance in numbers, and
yes.
So some people have to go west, and some people go east, and that's the difficulty. So do you have any players that will play beyond high school?
My team this year, my seniors are very high academic, and they're going to college for school. They'll play some intramural stuff probably. They seem to be a group that likes to play tennis, but they want to be engineers and doctors, and they're going to be hitting the books.
So no intercollegiate tennis.
No.
Well, as you look at the program, how do you feel about your time that you spent at Edison?
I'm a very spiritual person. I think I've bounced around a lot before I got to Edison, and no place is exactly how it should be, but I think Edison fits me. I don't see myself ever going anywhere. They found me a para job there, and I just kind of feel that that's where I'm supposed to be,
Fantastic. We'll have you back maybe after the regionals. We have some success.
Oh, that'd be fun. We'll get some people through at regionals.
Good.
We will.
Good. Excellent. Well, thanks for being here today.
All right. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right.
And when we come back, we'll have Jordan Graham, who's the head slow pitch softball coach at Booker T. Washington.
Hey, Tulsa, welcome back to the top recycling play of the day. Team Johnson is looking to defend their title against aluminum and steel cans.
Bob, most people think of the kitchen for this opponent, but aluminum and steel cans, like empty shaving cream cans, also play extremely well in bathrooms all over Tulsa. That was nothing but bin, Bob.
Wow, right into the bin. Team Johnson has buttoned up another win. Score big by recycling your aluminum and steel cans. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Nathan Hills means that you have to be consistent, outgoing, and be dedicated because students at Nathan Hill look up to the football team.
Being an athlete at Nathan Hill has taught me to be confident and disciplined and always to be open-minded and always ready to work with people no matter how difficult it is.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Our last guest today, Jordan Graham, the head slow pitch coach at Booker T. Washington. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Nice. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad you're here. We have a co-op, Booker T and Memorial. We did that in the fall. How's that working with slow pitch in the spring?
It's helped us out a lot. We've only have about 5 girls from Memorial, so bringing on Booker T has really helped our numbers and to keep our season going and to help progress the program further.
That's fantastic. You play in a tough league.
Tough.
Frontier Conference is pretty tough.
6A3 is
6A
rough.
Yeah, 6A3 district is tough. And who are some of the people you play in 6A3?
So we have Sand Springs, Bixby, Enid, Bartlesville. That's pretty much the ones I can think of off the top.
Tahlequah?
No, Tahlequah's a 5A.
I think they're 6A, but
In slow pitch?
I think so.
You're probably right in 6A. I mean in slow pitch, but
My son's the AD there, so I think.
you would right. But
I was talking to him yesterday about their baseball schedule and said they had to go to Enid
Oh,
to play
yeah.
baseball. I was like, gee,
well, the good thing about slow pitch is we don't have districts. So I honestly
Right.
don't have to play all 6A teams.
Yes.
So that's probably why I'm just like.
yeah, that is good. Yeah, that is good.
My schedule is pretty much mostly 4A, 5A.
How do you feel about the districts? Would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
I kind of like it just for our girls. I mean, just because I can play a little less intense schedule.
Sure.
But I mean, if we were more progressed, then I think that having no districts would kind of, hinder us. Because I mean, when you have to rank these kids,
Right.
some of these schools are going out playing 5A, 4A, 3A schools, and
Right.
they're a 6A team.
Right. That's one of the things that we've talked about through the years is the pluses and minuses because of districts. We talked about it in basketball forever because it's coaches voting.
Mhm.
And we know that this coach calls that coach and says, you vote for me and I'll vote for you. And it's not a true evaluation. And the same thing in slow pitch. I think, that was one of the things that really caught my eye when I came back to Oklahoma 15 years ago, that the good old boy system was out there working with the coaches. So as you, how many seniors do you have with your team?
I want to say we have 4. We have 3 from Booker T and 1 from Memorial.
How is the future look for the co-op?
I think if we can keep it going, shout out to Jana Clark for building the junior high team at Carver. And
Yes.
I think that will honestly help us tremendously to have kids that kind of know the game coming into high school instead of just getting into high school and be like, hey, you want to play slow pitch or you want to play softball?
Right.
I think that'll help us tremendously, and I think that it could really help build our program.
I know Jana's done a really good job. We met before I had left to retire, and we had talked to her about that, and she, of course, had a team. Now she's got a U14 team that she's coaching, but she's all over it. And I think that's the one thing that we have to do, I think, in Tulsa is have junior high programs.
I completely agree.
We've got that. We've got to get those kids started there and have them a place to go that's a school team. Now, all the pickup teams, and one of the things, I don't know if you've noticed this about the softball, but I've noticed over the years, because my daughter played years ago, was that the rec leagues in Tulsa have gone away. And so getting those rank and file kids that may want to play someday we're not finding them. If you're not on a travel team, you don't play.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a shame for the kids.
I agree.
I think we've kind of all gotten into, it's all about winning, and it's really not all about winning. When they're 12 years old, it's about teaching them the game.
Absolutely.
And to love the game and to be a part of the game. So how is the fall look with your fast pitch?
The fall, we'll still have that tough schedule with Sand Springs and Enon and all of them. So I think if we can get that new group in, that 9th grade group coming in, and maybe some new girls at Memorial and up our numbers a little bit, I think that we could compete a little bit, get some practices going.
That'll help with the Carver.
Oh, absolutely. And Jana has taught them the game, rules, games, and so I think that having that will help us.
So that part of it, you work on fundamentals. You don't have to work on rules.
You only have 2 months before season starts,
Exactly.
June and July, and then you're right in it. So
absolutely
taking time for rules and all of that kind of wastes our time.
We need to do situations and batting
Yes.
practice.
Yes.
All those things that are very important. Well, I'm glad you're here. Good luck.
Thank you.
The rest of the way, and good luck in the fall.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we'll close the show.
Hey, Tulsa, we have a crushing recycle play of the day for you. Team Johnson versus paper and cardboard.
They're starting off slow today, probably trying to figure out what to do with those styrofoam plates, since they're not recyclable.
There's the big play we were waiting for. Boom! Completely empty cardboard boxes dunked in the cart. Score big by recycling your cardboard and paper. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Booker T. Washington has taught me to carry myself with class as an athlete, student, and friend, and to have responsibility on and off the field.
Being an athlete at Memorial High School has taught me to be a better person, because when you play sports, attitude is the main thing you have to deal with. Not just your own, but other people's. It also teaches you to be the bigger person.
On today's show, we heard from Chris Hudgins, the executive director of the Bond team. We also had the assistant athletic director for the Tulsa Public Schools, Jen Sanders. We had our tennis coaches and our golf coaches give us an update as to how their season's going in the regional and state tournaments. We also heard from Jordan Graham, the new co-op softball coach for Booker T. Washington Memorial. I want to remind you about the annual TPS Hall of Fame banquet, which will be on June the 2nd at the Doubletree Hotel at 61st and Yale, and the Legends Golf Classic to be held on June the 3rd at La Fortune Golf Club. Make plans to support the athletic department with your participation. You can make reservations for both events by calling the athletic office at the Education Service Center at 918-746-6453. Make your reservations today, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.